Now we're moving to a new line of effort. This morning we're going to focus on energy, sustainability, and security. And we are indeed blessed to have with us the principal official in the Assistant Secretary of the Army Installation Environment Office now, and that's a good friend of mine, Jerry Hansen.
What a great honor it is to be here today with all of you and be able to talk about one of my favorite topics, energy security and sustainability. What is energy security, you might ask? I think when the first time I heard the term, I was envisioning a number of soldiers standing around a generator or power facility that were guarding it and providing security for it. And obviously, we all know there's a lot more than that. The QDR definition is it's the assured access to reliable supplies of energy and the ability to protect and deliver sufficient energy to meet operational needs. So it's really primarily about meeting our operational needs and doing it as efficiently as we can and making sure that we have the energy to do our mission. And we can't just assume that because it's been there in the past. We're now in a global climate, a global economy where there are a lot of players that are demanding the same scarce resources, and many of those supplies of energy, as you all know, come from people that don't like us and that have the ability to throttle at the most inopportune times. We need to get past that. So energy security then is an operational imperative and it is a top Army priority. And you might ask, why? Well, in the field, energy dependence creates this logistical tail which slows our operations, it makes our deployed forces more vulnerable, and again, the source is from countries that may not be reliable. We also have tended in the past to underestimate the cost of providing that fuel, both in lives and vulnerability and in cost. We look at the cost being what we pay at the pump, but in recent years we've now learned that really we ought to be looking at the fully burdened cost of fuel. What does it cost to deliver that fuel to the point of need? And when we compute it that way, the price per gallon is incredible. The Army bases and our soldiers' training require secure and uninterrupted access to this energy, and to address those challenges, the Army has adopted a comprehensive energy security strategy and is currently investing more than $1 billion in energy security initiatives, which includes nearly $700 million in Army energy stimulus funding. The Army energy consumption, which we've been working at since at least '85, and we've been keeping records on that, has continued to reduce. We've reduced the consumption per square footage about 30% since '85. But over that same period of time, our energy costs have overtaken that, with energy costs doubling from 2004 to 2008. And these are costs that are not programmed right now. We not only have huge consumption, but that in peacetime it's somewhat different than it is on contingency operations or in wartime. In peacetime, about 70% of the energy that we consume is at the installation level. This is running the facilities. The other 30% is vehicular and aircraft. But when we're involved in contingency operations, that shifts. The installation consumption is still the biggest factor, but we have a much greater percentage now by some of the other fuel consumers. And what's interesting to me is that generators jumped from 3% to 22% as an example. So any efficiencies that we can achieve there through energy management, doing smart things, and we're learning to do those now, can make a tremendous difference. We discuss energy security internally as the 5 S's, and different services have different ways of representing this, but typically they all have similar, capture similar points. May not call it the 5 S's DoD-wide yet, but I think that's coming. First S, surety, preventing the loss of access. Supply, accessing local, alternative, and renewable energy sources. Sufficiency, adequate quantities, when and where needed. Survivability, making sure we have resilience in our systems. And sustainability, promoting support for the Army's mission, community, and environment. The sustainability initiatives often associated with the environmental community are integral to everything we're doing in energy and vice versa. There are some, you'll see some definitions that put energy security as part of sustainability. You'll see others that put sustainability as part of energy security. They're both correct. There's overlap between those two, and there's interdependence that is represented within the Army by the fact that they both come under the within the Secretariat under the ASAINE. So we're the Office of Primary Responsibility for both. We need to keep them both integrated and make sure that they're coordinated well. And in some cases, there are tensions between the two. And it's a healthy tension because at the same time that we want to proceed with alternative and renewable energy, we also want to make sure it's efficient and it doesn't have environmental impacts that are more significant than what we're trying to achieve. We've added BTUs to our consideration of beans and bullets, and we're trying to socialize that somewhat. Acknowledging that BTUs focuses on the importance of energy to our overall mission. And we've depicted some of the technologies with tactical applications that are being developed today. We expect that continued testing and evaluation of these will result in scalable outcomes in the near future. Some other examples of technologies being used or tested in theater that directly relate to getting fuel tankers off the road include tactical garbage to energy refinery, Tiger, tactical energy solar systems, solar-powered security lights, and this isn't just these aren't just some harebrained ideas that some mad scientist has. These are all near-term projects that both the Army and the Marine Corps recognize have some significant application potential here, and the Marine Corps has an office specifically devoted to some of these now that we're working closely with. Existing renewable projects include Fort Drum, 50 solar, trying to give a little bit of each of you some publicity in some of the great projects we have going on out there right now. Fort Drum has 50 solar wall heating systems installed on 27 buildings for 110,000 square feet of solar wall panels. Fort Carson, the largest solar photovoltaic array in the U.S. Army, 7th largest in the U.S. and 70th in the world, with more than 27,000 solar panels and 2 megawatt array to generate about 3,200 megawatt hours per year. And on a former landfill, so it's got some environmental advantages as well. Next, please. Fort Knox has done some great work, and it's not just planned, but they're actually in being right now with ground-coupled heat pumps. Approximately 3,800 tons of heating and cooling capacity is provided by ground source heat pumps there. They have good dirt, so they don't have the solar that we have in the Southwest, but they do have another advantage. And it's used for approximately 25% of all existing Fort Knox facilities, greatly reducing the need for natural gas and reducing emissions and cost. In conclusion, I would say that energy security is an integral component of our mission readiness and unit preparedness. It is an operational imperative. The Army is answering and leading the call to the nation to face one of the great challenges of our time, confronting our dependence on foreign oil, addressing the moral, economic, and environmental challenges of global climate change, and building a clean energy future that benefits all Americans, particularly our soldiers, families, and civilians within the Army. We're leveraging the interagency process to lead the transformation of the ways we produce and use energy for the sake of our environment, our economy, and our security, and we'll continue to lead by example in using both public and private cooperation to meet our nation's energy security needs.